The topic we are going to discuss is the mergers and acquisitions. So let's start with the meaning of mergers and acquisitions. A merger occurs when forces to create a new joint organizations. Merger means when there are two organizations and they have their separate name and they have their separate entities. Both the organizations perform their functions separately. That suppose there is a company A and another company name is B. They have two separate entities. Both the companies produce number of goods and services separately. But when they combine and the new firm is formed, that is known as the joint organization, that means mergers. Meanwhile, the acquisition refers to the takeover of one entity by the another. As I have said earlier, under the concept of mergers, two companies, separate companies are involved, that may be A and another one is B. When they form their business as jointly and a new company is created, and under the concept of acquisition, suppose organization B take over the entity of another company, that is the company A, that term is known as acquisition. Merger and acquisitions may be completed to expand the company's reach. Why they both the companies do the process of merge and acquisitions? It is accomplished for the completement or for expanding their business to gain the maximum gain in the market share and to build up the good image in the market. They usually gain a market share in an attempt to create the shareholders' value. Why they want to create the market share? To create the shareholders' value within the market. So the overall meaning of merger and acquisition is when a business is run by the two separate entities, that is number of goods and produced by the both companies on the separate basis. Suppose there are two companies, company A and company B. When they combine their business forces and create a new one company, that is the joint organization, this concept is known as the merger. And the word acquisition, where the company B take over the entity of another company, that is the company A. That takeover process is known as the acquisition. Both merger and acquisition process is done for the purpose of gaining the market position and to attempt and create the shareholders value within the market. So there are certain reasons for merging and acquisition. The very first one we are going to discuss is the increasing capability. Whenever the two business entities combine their business, it will lead to increase their capability, that they can produce the number of goods and services with their unique features. It will increase the capabilities to expand their research and developments, and more opportunities will be built up. If there are two organizations, that is A and B, both the organizations use different kind of strategies and different kind of methods for the purpose of producing goods and services. After producing the number of goods and services and after merging it into the one company, those both companies who have their own strategies and have their own unique features can combine it into the one, which will lead to increasing their capability of producing more goods and services in an effective way. So most of the companies who wants to combine their costly manufacturing operating cost, whenever the organization feels that their manufacturing cost is generally higher or they can't afford their cost anymore now, they can merge with to the another company, which will lead to the increasing more profits and which will lead to capital for the another company to produce more goods and services effectively. So according to the second point, that is gaining a competitive advantage or large market share. So with the merging and acquisition process, whatever the company gives a competitive advantage. Because of strategies of both two companies are combined into the one firm, it will lead to the competitive advantage and which will lead to the market share. They can build up their good image within the market and they build up their large image in the market and gain more market share. Consumers are more available, consumers information are more available regarding the products and services what they want to exactly sell to the number of customers. So whenever the companies decided to merge, they merge in order to gain the better distribution or to create a healthy network between the market. So the company wants to expand their business to the different markets where a similar company is already operating. What they do, rather than to start it from the ground, the companies just merge into the another company. Whenever the business wants to expand their business, they want to produce number of goods and services more and more. They have no need to start their business from the base, from the ground to zero. What the process they do? They generally adapt the healthy process, that is the merging process. They merge it with the another company for expanding their business and gain the competitive advantage. The distribution or any marketing network that is used by both the companies, it gives wider satisfaction to the customers. According to the next point, that is diversifying products or services. Diversifying products or services will lead to the another reason for merging the companies it to the current product and services. Whenever the two firms are combined, their products and services also combine, which will lead to gain a competitive advantage to the marketplace. Whenever the two firms combine for the purpose of expanding their business and to promote their goods and services to the market and to build up the good image within the market, they usually merge the companies. Company A and company B will merge it to the one company that will lead to the diversification of number of products and services and they provide more variety of services to the number of customers. The next point is the replacing leadership. Usually in the private companies, the company may need to merge and to be acquired if the current owner can't identify someone within the companies to succeed them. If there is a private company in the marketplace, but they do not have any current owner, which will lead the current company, whatever the organization is run, whatever the firm is run, but they do not have any efficient labor or any current labor who can identify or succeed the company. Then the owner may also wish to cash out to invest their money into someone else, such as retirement process. Whenever the owner feels that there is a retirement process or there is a need of replacement of leadership, the process of merging and acquisition is done in this case. Whenever any firm, any organization have do not any kind of efficient leader who will lead the organization and produce the good number of goods and services within the organization. In this case, the merging and acquisition process is done for replacing the leadership quality. Last point is the cutting cost. Usually, when the two companies have the similar product and services and combine their product, which will lead to providing the large number of opportunities to the number of customers, which results to the reduction of cost. Whenever the companies merge, they provide and they have the more opportunities to combine the location, which will lead to reduce the operating cost and other supporting functions. Whatever the total cost of production or services, whatever the distribution cost, it will lead to lower as the volume increases. When more and more goods and services are produced by the organization under the case of merger and acquisition, it will lead to lower the cost and increase the volume of products and services, which will result to maximize the total profits. Whatever the total cost, whatever the raw material cost, whatever the distribution cost, the whole cost is cutting down, the whole cost is lowering down due to the adaptation of process of merging and acquisition. So merging and acquisition will lead to the another concept that includes merging and acquisition recent trends in India. What are the sort of trends that is adapted in India under the case of merging and acquisition? So in terms of merging and acquisition, India is one of the leading nation because of majority of Indian companies favoring merging and acquisitions. So, if we are talking about the concept of trends in India, most of the companies, whether it may be the any sort of company, majority of the Indian companies are in the favor of converting their companies into merge and acquisition process, which will lead to the more profits, which will lead to providing more opportunities to the number of customers. So merging and acquisition is generally increased in India since 1999, especially after the liberalization process. But during the year of 2000, 2007 and 2008, such case of merging and acquisition is declining due to the crisis of global credit, due to the changing in circumstances, due to the changing in the political factors, global factors, and reduction of EXIM policies, that is the export and import policies. By implementing these sort of policies during the year of 2000 and 2007 and 8, the process of merging and acquisition is declining day by day due to certain number of crises. But the trend of merging and acquisition in India has been decreasing from 2000 to 2008, as we have studied under the second concept that the trends of merging and acquisition that is adopted by the different number of Indian companies is decreasing during the year of 2000 and 2008. But in the year of 2010, such deals hit a new peak. But in 2010, most of the Indian companies again adapt this process of merging and acquisitions for promoting their sales and to build up their position within the market. Since then, the Indian companies have considered the market and acquisitions to be the key of corporate restructuring. Marketing and acquisition, merging and acquisition is the process which is adapted by the most of the Indian companies, which will lead to the maximization of profits to these companies, which also results to the healthy restructuring corporations. Most of the structure of the corporation is increasing day by day. As today is the 21st century, most of the organizations wants to sustain their position within the market and to build up the healthy competition within the market. So the trends of merging and acquisition process is the new way that is adapted by the Indian companies to survive within the market. And it is the key point for every organization for corporate restructuring. So various new forms were introduced in the year 2019. With these various forms, which will lead to boost up the growth of merging and acquisitions in India. When new structure is forming, when new plans and policies are introduced in the year 2019, it will result to growth of merging and acquisitions in India. Such reforms may include a certain number of things, that is new framework by the SEBI on the aspect of issuance of shares and different voting rights. So with the various new forms that is adapted during the year 2019, which gives the new framework by the SEBI, that is Central Exchange Board of India, Under this concept, they frame the certain rules and regulations regarding the aspect of issuance of shares, that how the shares can be issued, and on the basis of that shares, what voting rights should be given to the number of shareholders. This will enable the organization and its members to receive investment without losing any control. With these proper framework, with these formalities, it will result any organization or their members that may receive the investment without losing any control. They have the proper control on the shares, they have proper control on their voting rights. They do not lose any kind of control under the framing of new SEBI's guidelines. So, according to the next point that is related to the tax incentives and exemptions were granted to all registered startups, which increase merging and acquisition in the startup sector. So, with the adapting of various new reforms and as per the framework by the SEBI, new taxation policies, new taxation incentives were granted. These all were granted to all registered that who wants to start up their business and want to merge and acquisition policy, which will lead to increase the process of merging and acquisition in the startup sectors. Whatever the organization wants to set up their business, whenever the existing firms to merge their business and acquisite their business, they can do this process by following the new various reforms and new frameworks that are decided by the SEBI. So according to the next point, that is reform of corporation of income tax rate reduction has been made India to be high in investment all over world, which would increase the merging and acquisition in all the sectors. So according to the new reforms and new framework by the SEBI, various new reforms of corporate income tax, that the particular rate of income tax will be reduced, which will lead to the high investment in all over the world. Whenever the organization wants to do any kind of business that is in the global nature, they can invest the particular amount to all over the world, which will result, what will result if the investment is done in effective manner to all over the world? It will result to increase the merging and acquisition in all the sectors, that is global. So the next concept we are going to discuss under the concept of merging and acquisition is advantages of merging and acquisition. The very first point we are going to discuss, it adds more value to be combined entity than either individual company can produce on its own, as this line suggested that whenever the business run his or her own business on individual basis, whatever the goods and services are produced is given to the consumer, but the small scale of profits are generated from them. But if the companies, both companies, as I took the example, A and B company, both the companies with the mutual consent and with the mutual agreement, they combine their company into the one and do the process of merging and acquisition, it will increase the production of the organization and add more value to the organization. So basically the motive of merging and acquisition process is all about to reducing the duplicacy, and it will increase the efficiency and the work they want to achieve with the more efficiency. So at the end of the results, it is typically for the basis to enhance the level of all over revenue, because there are not cost redundancies that occurs through the product chain. To reduce this chain, to reduce the overall cost and to build up the healthy value, merging and acquisition process is done, and which will result to add more value to both the companies. So according to the next point, that is, it opens up new market for both the companies. Once the organization has merged with other, it will instantly gain a new market share that it may not have had before. whenever the companies decided to take the process of merging and acquisition, and after that process they become the one company, and instantly they gain the new market share that they do not had before. So many of the organization and many of the concerned people with these industries are brand loyal, and whatever the process is followed under the concept of merging and acquisition, it allows the people to maintain the loyalty factor with new goods and services provided by the new organization. It will lead to the customer that may be more encouraged to experiment with the new goods and services after the merging and acquisition process. It will lead to access more resources through their preferred brand. So the overall meaning of this concept is related to whenever the company merge their company, whatever the company A and the company B, both the companies will convert it into the one. It will lead to provide more services to the number of customers, and it open up the new market which provides new sort of goods and services to the customers, and it also build up a brand loyalty among the customers. According to the next point, it is a cost-effective method to fuel expansion. So, whenever the business wants to upgrade their internal processes or their existing technologies on their own, then this can be created the massive charge on the several budget lines that is difficult or it may be impossible to absorb. Whenever the business want to upgrade, whenever the business wants to expand their business, it will lead to higher the cost, it will lead to more cost that is put upon the existing company. It will lead to difficulty and impossible to absorb. But with the process of merging and acquisition, it allows the business to come together so that their basic and specific needs must be specified, and that can be met up by in the more affordable manner. Because of the merging of both the companies, the cost, the overall cost, production cost, distribution cost, purchasing of raw material cost, these all costs will be reduced day by day. So the last concept that is deal with, it can create multiple growth opportunities. So whenever the two companies now work together as the one entity, it will help under the completion of process of merging and acquisition. This will lead to more effective on the local level and providing the more economic benefits to the number of customers. Now consumers are more aware about the prices of goods and services, or may or not be rises because of this. Number of customers are more aware that what goods and services are produced by the organization, and they got the information from the effective advertisement. So it will lead to create the multiple growth number of opportunities with the process of merging and acquisition. Most of the Indian companies wants to merge and acquire their organization for creating the multiple growth opportunities that will lead to the creating the position within market and creating customer more aware about the product and provide more economic opportunities, which will lead to reduction in cost. The next concept we are going to discuss are the disadvantages of merging and acquisition. The very first point is related with it creates distress within the employees based on each organization. So every organization has their own employees. So merging and acquisition process is invariably that is positioning within the companies that are duplicated. There must be duplicacy after the implementation of process of merging and acquisition. This means that there is a chance of layoff could occurring and would place the people out of the work in indefinite period of time. After the implementing the process of merging and acquisition, the number of employees who are working within the organization existingly, but after the implementation of process will lead to lay off the employees from the organization due to the more worker availability. Because none of this potential becomes indefinite until the merging and acquisition process has been completed, many people are forced into the higher level of uncertainty because they do not know what will happen to them. Number of employees that are exist within the organization, they are more aware about their job security, that after the implementation of process of merging and acquisition, whether they are able to gain their job again or lost their job. So it will create the huge stress on the existing number of employees for losing their jobs. According to the second point, it may increase the amount of debt that is owned. If there is any kind of debt that is owned either by the organization or by both of them, then the process of merging and acquisition may increase the balance sheet's debt. Both debts of the organization and their amount that is depicted on the balance sheet, both the amounts will be increased due to the combination of these companies. As both the companies combined and they form the new one company, the amount of particular debt will also leads to increase, and the balance amount of under the concept of balance sheet, the debt balance will also increase due to the combination of companies. It can impact the combined company's capability to establish the new credit lines or borrow any kind of additional funds to fuel a wanted expansion. So, if the rate is increasing day by day, if the particular amount of debt that is owned by both the companies is increasing, then it will lead to impact on combined companies. Both the companies have the ability to establish a new credit line. A new line is framed, a new credit line is formed for what purpose? For purpose of borrowing of additional funds, so that the additional amount should be borrowed for the process, for the expansion of business, and for producing the number of goods and services. So the third point covers that there are differences in corporate culture that are not easy to consolidate. So if we took an example, let us say there are two companies, that is company A. Company A doesn't have any formal process. They have like, sorry, the company A doesn't have any official dress. Whether we are talking about the number of two companies, first of all, we are talking about the company A, in which the company has do not have any official dress or any official policy regarding their employees. They do not even care if someone and has come late to the organization, or someone has come every day or not, or someone is on holiday. Whether the company B adapt the business formal process require compliance, a proper structure is followed. Then both the companies have different culture, different features, and different structure. So by combining these both companies, that is company A and company B, it is difficult for the number of employees that are exist in the company A and company B to follow the same number of culture. As I have told earlier, the company A doesn't have any official dress code. Company A has doesn't any official structure. Company A's employees do their work in which they want, but the company B adapt the proper structure, proper formalities, and proper number of policies to promoting its company and for the formation of organization. So when company A and company B do the merging process and acquisition process, it will lead difficulty for both of the employees to cope up with their new culture. So it is not easy to consolidate or coordinate their activities with each other. The last point is it isn't a one-person decision most of the time. So merging and acquisition process merging and acquisition process is not a one-person decision. The consent must be related by both the parties, whether the company A and whether the company B, the owner, the top management has to make one mutual decision, and on that mutual decision all the process of the production, all the process of distribution is done. So it isn't a one person decision whether the company A's top management or company's B top management has taken the decision. The decision should be basis with both the consents, with both the management. So it will lead to create some problem within the organization after implementing the process of merging and acquisition. Okay, thank you.